All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Today, we're going to be talking about the New York State Pandemic Relief Grant and try to answer any questions that you guys have. First, we will go through and explain the process and what documentation you're going to need and what resources are available to you to join and send in an application. First, I'd like to introduce my colleagues, myself and my colleagues, and our partners. My name is John Frias. I am a program manager with the Business Outreach Center Network. We're an organization that is a nonprofit organization out there trying to help businesses develop, grow, and access resources. My colleague, Jean Tandler, is the program manager for our outreach on the New York State Pandemic Relief Grant. She will be talking about the ins and outs of the application. We are also joined today by Francisco Aguilar and Ana Reyes from the Bronx Chamber of Commerce. They will talk about other resources that the Bronx Chamber is also offering Bronx-based businesses. And the person who made this all happen, president of the Throgs Neck Merchants Association, Cheryl Cropper. Special thanks to her. I'll let them introduce themselves further. Jean.
Oh, hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm looking forward to doing a deep dive in the COVID pandemic grant. And we have a few organizations here that can assist you with the application, and looking forward to getting into it.
Thanks, Jean. Francisco?
Yeah, as John already said, my name is Francisco. I'm with the Bronx Chamber of Commerce, and today we're just going to go over a little bit about how we could really help you out during this grant process, whether that be uploading files, going through the application with you. It's really just about helping you get the money you deserve for your business at the end of the day.
Anna, you there?
Hi, everyone. I'm Anna. I'm a small business recovery specialist at the Bronx Chamber of Commerce.
Thanks, Anna. And Cheryl.
Hi, everyone. I want to thank everyone for attending, and for John and Jean from BOCnet and Francisco and Anna. I'm with the Throgs Neck Merchants Association, and despite our name, we have members from outside of Throgs Neck and many other areas of the Bronx, a nonprofit to support and help our members thrive in this economic climate and going forward. So I want to thank everybody for being here and turn it back over to you, John. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. All right. Well, without any further ado, let's get into the nitty gritty. Jean?
So everyone should be able to see my screen, and I will be talking today, obviously, about the pandemic grant. Let's dive in. Now, the grant is geared toward providing grant assistance to small businesses and entrepreneurs in New York that have experienced a hardship due to COVID-19. And you can access the grant application and the eligibility guidelines, and including the document requirements, online at this web address right here, NYS or nysmallbusinessrecovery.com. They've really done a great job on setting up the website to clearly outline the eligibility requirements. So if there's anything that you need to go back to and refer to what the requirements are, I definitely recommend going to the website and taking a look. And you can also apply for the grant using this link. That said, we are also here to provide assistance. If you need assistance, let's say perhaps converting documents into PDF files, or just packaging the loan and getting the required documents together, we are here to assist. Now, the eligibility guidelines, or the grant amount guidelines, are based on the annual gross receipts of your business. The minimum amount is $25,000. So you would have had to have made at least $25,000 in 2019 to be eligible for the grant. So if you've made between $25,000 and over 49,000, your business is eligible for a $5,000 grant, and then it increases from there. So the next level is $10,000 if your business makes up to $100,000. And then the maximum amount is 10% of gross receipts up to $50,000. Okay, and then to be eligible for the grant, you need to show a positive net profit in 2019. And they determine this by taking a look at your tax return. So you'll need to provide your tax returns for 2019 and 2020. And then also show a loss of gross receipts due to COVID. And that would be also shown in your tax returns. Okay. So again, businesses must have made at least $25,000 in gross receipts in 2019, have a positive net profit on your 2019 business tax return. So that can be as little as $1. So, but it cannot be zero. I've seen a lot of businesses who do not report a profit on their tax return. And as a result, they would not be eligible for this program. And then also businesses would need to demonstrate at least a 25% loss in annual gross receipts from 2019 to 2020. I have seen some businesses who may have an alternate fiscal year. So they may file their tax return in September, for instance, and it may not be from January to December. New York State has stated that they will need the entire year. So if your tax return has not been filed yet, you may need to wait to apply until you file your tax return that includes the entirety of 2020. So that might be a combination of your fiscal, of your 2019 tax return and your 2020 tax return if you file using alternate fiscal years. Okay. Also, another eligibility requirement is that your expenses stated on your 2020 tax return are greater than the grant amount. So let's say your business expenses were only $2,000 in 2020. That would be the limit of how much you could receive for grant, even though you might qualify for more because your gross income was greater. They will limit you according to what your expenses were in 2020. So if you had expenses, again, like $2,000 and you were previously eligible for $5,000, you would be limited to $2,000. Okay, and then some of the other eligibility requirements, just be in compliance with applicable laws, don't owe any federal, state, or local taxes prior to July 15, 2020. And then also have not qualified for grant assistance programs under the American Rescue Act or any other federal COVID economic recovery grant assistance programs. However, you may have received, they do allow, if you received the PPP loan, if you received $250,000 or less, you would be eligible. It's only if you received more than that you would not be eligible for this specific grant. And then also if you received an EIDL advance grant of $10,000 or less, or a supplemental target grant of $5,000 or less, or a SBA shuttered venue operator grant. So in those instances, you would still be eligible for the fund. I'm just going to take a moment. Were there any questions so far? I'm sorry, John, if you could tell me if there's any questions that come up in chat, I'd be happy to take those.
So I just had a quick question about that. When you say the Paycheck Protection program loans totaling 250. That's what if I got two of them? It just can't, both of them can't be a total of 250?
Correct, correct. So if you receive two, the total cannot be more than $250,000.
All right, thank you, Jean. And also, if anyone else has any questions about anything Jean is saying, feel free to look at your reactions and raise your hand or interrupt. Don't be shy, because we're here to answer all your questions.
Okay. Also, yep.
Sorry.
Sure.
So you were mentioning about back taxes. I do have back taxes of 2018, 2019, but I'm in a payment plan. So that disqualify me?
No, no. As long as you're in a payment plan, you're fine.
And then just to double check that I have received 2 EIDL grants. I think it's totaling 14,000. That'd be about the 10,000. That would disqualify me.
It would. So if it's more than 10,000, that would disqualify you for the grant.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you, Christopher, for your question. So the other thing is, when you're asking a question, just say what your name is and what your company is as well. But those are the exact kind of questions we want people to ask. Once again, thank you, Christopher.
Also, another thing to note is, to be eligible for the grant, you need to have been, if your business is incorporated, it needs to have been incorporated in New York State. If you're not incorporated, if you're a sole proprietor, then you need to be operating in New York State. Okay. They are giving priority to women-owned businesses, economically disadvantaged, and minority-owned businesses. The grant program is not on a first come, first serve basis. They gather a batch of applications, they review that batch and make a determination based on these factors. That said, I still recommend getting your application in sooner rather than later, because we do not know when the funds will be running out. There hasn't been a deadline set for the program as of yet, and we're not sure when that will happen. So it's better to go ahead and apply for the program, but keep in mind it is not first come, first serve. There are other factors involved into determining who's eligible for the program. Okay. Once you apply for the program online, it's a two-step process. So you'll answer a series of questions, and we'll go over that in a minute. And then after you answer those questions, you can upload your documents. And then you have 14 days after doing that first step of applying for the program to upload your documents. Okay, and here we have just a list of some ineligible businesses. Nonprofits are not eligible. Businesses that received awards from the SBA Restaurant Revitalization Grant Program are not eligible. Landlords or passive real estate income businesses are not eligible. Okay, and the purpose of the fund is to use the money for business expenses such as payroll costs, commercial rent or mortgage payments, insurance costs, utility costs, the purchase of PPE, machinery, equipment costs, most business expenses that you would have in addition to anything COVID related in terms of costs. Okay, and then grant funds cannot be used to repay or pay down any portion of a loan obtained through a federal COVID relief package or any New York State business assistance programs.
Hi, Jean. Just want to interrupt Mr. Chi Huang or
Yes.
Charles. He wants to ask a question.
Sure.
Okay. My company is Global Resource Technology Development. I think I applied the grant, the small grant, the 10,000 grant, I think about years ago. And then the disaster fund. I applied for about I spent a lot of time, and then they keep saying, okay, you need this, you need that, until today, I still not get any result. Okay, the small grant is not this category probably, right? I think the first time the disaster fund, all the small business can receive that 10,000 grant, and also have PPP. The PPP need to have a payroll because I'm a company hire a few consultants. We don't have the payroll system, but we suppose can receive the 10,000 disaster fund. And the program we are talking about is not that one, right? It's a different.
No, this one's different, Chi. I think what you're talking about is the EIDL Advance.
Yes.
And what they did is that they gave $10,000 in advance to businesses that had employees under payroll, up to 10. So for every employee, they gave you $1,000. So if they didn't give you a EIDL, it was because you didn't have any employees on payroll, so they didn't give you the grant. This is a New York State pandemic relief grant. This grant is here to assist businesses that had a loss of $25,000 and are registered in New York State. As far as my understanding is, it's not a requirement for you to have employees under W-2. Jean, is that correct?
That's correct. You do not have to have employees.
The main requisite is that you made over $25,000 in 2019 and suffered a loss of 25% or more in 2020. And I'm assuming you're a corporation?
Yeah. Okay. The question is, the disaster fund, this first 10,000, the PPP need to have a payroll, but the first 10,000, you don't need a payroll, you don't need a W-2, because I have my employee for the consulting.
Right. This program doesn't require that. This is a separate program. This program would just be about your revenue and how much loss you acquired in 2020. So you don't have to be concerned with that.
But I think I suppose we can receive the first 10,000. This.
If you want help with regards to EIDL, I can email me and I can set you up with someone else who can help you with regards to EIDL to see if you're eligible for something.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you. How do you contact with you?
I will email you directly, Mr. Huang.
Thank you very much.
No problem. All right, Jean, back to New York State Pandemic Recovery Grant.
Sure. So we'll just go over the required documents to apply for the program. You'll need both, as I mentioned before, your 2019 and 2020 business income tax returns. So if you're a sole proprietor, that would be your 1040 and Schedule C. Also, the lender that is administering the program, the name of that lender is Lindustry. Now, they may request, if your application is selected, a 4506C form, and that's a request for your tax transcripts. But that's only if your application is selected, and you do not need to provide it when you first apply for the program and upload your documents. Also required are 2 forms of proof of business location and current operation. So that could be your lease. If you're working from home, that could be your residential lease, utility bill, bank statement, mortgage statement, credit card, something to show that you're currently in operation and what your business location is.
Thank you, Jean. We got one more question from Christopher Connor.
Sure.
Chris Connor Photography. Sorry if I'm sounding repetitive here. Going back over the advance, I know there's an EIDL advance, a targeted EIDL advance, and supplemented target advance. Is it all combined, the total, or as long as each one isn't over the 10,000?
It's each one.
So if each one are below the 10,000, even if all, so let's just say one is 1,000, sorry, and one is 9, one is 5, which would be a total of 15,000, you're still qualified because each one is under 10,000.
Right, so they consider them as separate categories. So the EIDL Advanced Grant can be 10,000 or less. So you could have one of those at 9,000, and the supplemental grant is 5,000 or less. So you could have one of those at 4,000, combine them both, and you'd be fine.
Wait, you said combine both?
Well, if you were, you're not going to reach a limit if you combine both of those programs. So they consider them separate programs.
Okay.
So you can receive an EIDL Advanced Grant up to 10,000 or less, and a supplemental advanced grant of 5,000 or less.
Okay, and then they don't need the EIDL advance numbers.
In the application, they will ask you how much you received. So they will ask you what was the amount that you received for those grant programs.
Okay, all right. And then I know you're going on sole proprietorship. I think that's been, I know I was talking to one of your people at WeWork, and she said that's been a lot of sole proprietors have been having trouble applying for the grant because, you know, like I said, work from home, or we might have a series, but I'll be honest, I've never done the business license. I know I should.
Right. Yeah, that has been the case where we've had a few sole proprietors who, and we can get to this momentarily as well in terms of required documents, but they have been asking for some proof of business incorporation or the existence of your business, which is more difficult for a sole proprietor. And what I have been recommending for sole proprietors is to go ahead with the loan or with the grant application process. And if you do not have one of the required documents, Lendistry will reach out to you and they will request that document. And at that time, you can explain to them, look, I'm a sole proprietor. I am not required to have a license or a permit for my business. And that is why it was not provided. We can also, either us or the Bronx Chamber can help you in communicating with Lendistry. We have a direct line to Lendistry. So if you do run across any issues, please feel free to reach out to us. They have been approving applications from sole proprietors. It's just they have to do it on a case-by-case basis.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay.
So, okay,
All wonderful questions, everybody. All wonderful questions. Yes, G.
yeah, okay, because you know, I'm not a good accounting, but do you think I can submit my the 2019 or 2020 my tax return form to give your guy, give the consultant to whether or not I'm eligible for this grant?
So Chi, that is what we would need to see if you were eligible. And once again, once I connect you with somebody to talk about your EIDL, we can also work on helping you fill out your application for the New York State Pandemic Relief Grant.
Great, thank you very much.
No
Yeah,
problem.
certainly take a look at your tax returns and help you determine whether you're eligible for the grant.
Okay.
Okay.
This is for 2019 or 2020 or 2021?
It's for,
It's
you're
both.
gonna need both 2019 and 2020.
Okay, all right.
So, so another thing that they will ask for, if you have a partner or more than one owner in the business, anyone that has 20% more ownership, they will need to get the contact information for that partner or owner. And then proof of number of employees, this only applies if you have employees. If you have employees, they will require the New York State 45 document. Okay, so if you have employees and you have a payroll, you should know what that is. If you do not have a payroll, then you do not need to worry about this document. And then this is what I was referring to earlier, was the proof of business organization. You need to provide one of the following. We have had sole proprietors who may not have any of these documents, in which case, go ahead, submit your application with the documents that you have. Lindustry will reach out to you. And if you do have any continuing issues and you're not able to resolve them with Lindustry, let us know, and we can see how we can assist. But they are processing these applications on a case-by-case basis for sole proprietors. Okay. Also, to distribute the funds or disperse the funds, they will need an IRS form W-9 and bank account information. And that information you can provide, or the bank account information you can provide on their website. You do not need to provide the W-9 upfront when you first apply. That's only if your application is selected. Okay. And so these are just some examples of the required documents. So this is for proof of gross receipts. You know, if you have a corporation or an LLC, you could have a 1120S form. If you're a sole proprietor, it's the 1040 form with your Schedule C. Okay. And then proof of business organization. It could be a business license, a business certificate, a DBA, certificate of incorporation, certificate of authority, articles of incorporation. Okay. And then for proof of business location and current operation, again, it would have to be a lease or utility bill, business credit card statement, something with your business address. And again, if you're a sole proprietor, that would be your home address. Okay. And I'm just going to skip over these parts. These are really just showing you the different types of documents. On the website, to the right of the screen here, you'll see they will request your bank account information, and you can either enter that manually, or there's an option to automatically upload that or link your account with Lindustry, and they can upload that information automatically.
Jean?
Yeah.
Rosemary Mejia has a question. Rosemary, unmute yourself and introduce yourself and your business and ask your question. Rosemary?
Oh, yes, hello. My name is Rosemary Mejia. I have a daycare. My license is approved for my business.
I believe her question is, can she use her daycare's license? Yeah.
Yes, yes, you can.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so so before you start the application process, if you go to the website, there is the option to download the applicant certification form. So these is one of the forms that you will need to upload to the website to apply for the grant funds. It's a 5-page certification letter. You will need to initial each certification and then sign the last page of the document. So when you download this, either you could try to fill it out online on your computer, and if you can do a digital signature, or you can print it out and sign it manually, and then scan it and upload it to the website. And if you don't, again, if you don't have the ability to do this on your computer, we'd be more than happy to help you out with this process.
Jean, we have one more question.
Yeah, just one thing, I would go ahead and fill out this form before you start the application process so that you have it ready to upload.
Thank you, Jean. We do have one more question. Stephen Cruz, please unmute yourself, introduce your business.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Stephen Cruz from Omega Educational Consulting. Just to be clear, if I declared a loss for 2019, I cannot apply for this grant. Is that correct, Jean?
That's correct. So if you have a loss, if your net profit is negative, then you would not be eligible. It
Okay.
needs to be at least $1.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate it.
Sure.
All great questions.
Okay. And I'm just going to skip over this section right here. This is just step-by-step instructions for downloading the certification form. On the website, you'll see it's pretty clear, and we can visit the website as well. You'll see where you can download the form. Okay. So here we have some tips for applying. I recommend that you use Google Chrome on your computer. This is the one web browser where you would, if you use another browser, you might experience some glitches. And so I do recommend that you use Google Chrome. Another thing to be cognizant of is just to clear your cache on your computer. If you're entering data, it might do an autofill and fill in the incorrect information on your application. Also to disable pop-up blocker. If you have a pop-up blocker, just to turn that off. Okay. Okay, and then also something to note as well is that the platform will only accept PDF documents. It cannot be an image such as a JPEG. So if you take a picture of your driver's license with your phone and then try to upload it without converting it to a PDF document, it may still upload, but Lendistry cannot view the document and will have to reach out to you to get the PDF version. So it will slow down the application process if the document is not in the correct format. And if you need assistance with converting any documents that you have into the correct format, we can certainly help you with that. Okay. Also, the file name cannot contain any special characters. And if you have a tax return that, for instance, is password protected, you would need to provide Lendistry with the password information. Otherwise, they're not able to view the document. Okay. Also, you will need to provide your email address when you apply. However, the system will not accept email addresses with that begin in info@ or ending with contact.com or at noreply.com. I know a few companies out there do use the info@. So rather than use that email address, just use another one that you might have. You can use your personal email, that's fine. Okay. Also, the application is available in multiple languages, and those are all available on the website. Okay. So when you go to the website to apply, this is the page that you'll see. Usually there's a waiting time. It's not very long to start the application. Sometimes it just takes a minute. And so in the meantime, you'll be put into a queue. And you can either wait until it's your turn or you can receive a notification by email. But I haven't experienced a wait of more than a couple minutes. Okay. So in the first step of the application process, you will be asked a series of questions. First will be your contact information and the information of your business, so such as the business address, preferred language. And then also you'll be asked if you'd like to receive text message updates. If so, just press OK. You don't have to, although I do recommend it. I found that some businesses, when they received emails from Lindustry, that sometimes it goes to their spam folder and they don't see it. And so it prolongs the process of processing your application if they can't get to you right away. So I do recommend signing up for the text messages in case you do miss any emails that are sent. Okay, so the type of information that they're asking for is birth date of the owner, social security number, percentage of ownership. You'd have to agree to their terms and conditions. Okay, you'll need your EIN number, also your business start date. You know, those are a couple of things that you want to make sure that you have on hand when you're ready to apply. Okay. And then some other questions that they'll ask you are the purpose of the grant, what you would use the funds for, your annual gross receipts for 2019. So you'll want to have your tax returns handy so that you can refer to what your gross receipts were for 2019 and 2020. They'll also want to know the number of full-time employees, if any, and part-time employees, and the number of jobs created in 2020 or created or retained, if that applies to you.
Jean, we have one more question from Christopher Connor.
Sure.
Chris?
Hello, Chris Connor from Chris Connor Photography. So my business was previously based in Washington, D.C., and I moved to New York in 2016. So should I put when it started in New York or when it originally started?
Okay. So did you say you're a sole proprietor?
I'm a sole proprietor. So I still do some work in D.C., but in 2019, at least 78% was in New York.
Yeah, that's fine. So you can certainly do business in more than one state, but in a case of a sole proprietor, if your business is operating out of New York State, then you would be eligible.
So put that when I moved to New York State is, I guess, the question. So like I moved.
So when your business started?
My business really started in Washington, D.C. back in 2006. I moved to New York June 2nd, 2016. So should I put June 2nd, 2016?
When you started business operations.
Okay.
So even if you lived in another state at that time, they're not going, as a sole proprietor, they're not going to refer to where you were operating at that time as proof of business operation. They're going to look at your current documents such as a utility bill or a lease to verify that you're operating in New York State.
And your tax returns.
Yeah, this is really more demographic information that they're collecting. So,
and then,
yeah.
Sorry. So,
so they just want to know how old your business is.
So you were saying about lease, and there's multiple. So for me, there's kind of multiple things. When I first moved up here, I was living with a friend, and then I was using WeWork as a business address and mailing place. My accountants always put my tax return as where I lived. And then in 2017, lived that place for 3.5 years of lease. And then this March, moved in with my partner's parents. So there's kind of been a couple of different places. So currently, I don't have a lease or utility bill, but I do have a WeWork business lease. Can I use that?
You can use the WeWork business lease, yes. Or if you have a credit card statement with your business address, you can use that if you have a business account.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, and then some other information they'll ask for. They'll ask for your NYS code. If you're not sure where to find that, I believe on the application they have a link that'll take you to the NYS.com website, and you can look up your NYS code. Okay, and again, these questions, the first part of the application, are primarily demographic information that they're trying to collect. Okay. And then this part of, and again, we're still in the first step of the application. They'll have a series of questions. So they're really trying to get to what other types of assistance you've received, and have you received assistance from any organizations such as a CDFI or Chamber of Commerce. And again, that could be the Brooklyn Chamber, it could be BOC Network. They're just trying to pin down that information. Yeah, so some of the questions are, again, annual gross receipts, how many months you were in operation in 2019, what emergency funding you've received. So this part of the application might take you several minutes to complete. But I would have on hand, if you have received other pandemic related assistance, to have those numbers handy, because you'll need to enter the amounts. Okay, so that's the end of the first step of the application process. And then you would just save your application. And you don't have to finish the application in one shot. You can always close out. You can save it, close out, and come back to it later by logging in. And when you do complete this part of the application, Lindustry will send you an email with your login information and password. Okay, so you can log back in at any time, finish the application, and also upload the documents. Okay. So this is an example of the email message that you would receive from Lindustry, just asking you to activate and sign into the portal. Okay, and then that you have 14 days to upload the required documents and to link your bank account information. Okay. And so this is just what it would look like as far as the login information. Okay. So when you sign back in, or as you're still in the portal, you can upload your documents. I don't think this has yeah, it does have a closer look. This may be a little difficult to see, but it does list each required document. And once it's been uploaded, you'll get a green light and it'll say complete. If you have not uploaded it, it will say pending. Okay, so under each category, you're allowed to browse for the document on your computer, desktop, or file folders, and upload that document. Okay. So if your document is password protected, such as your tax returns, there is a field where you can enter the password information. Okay. And just keep in mind, they will list all of the types of documents you can upload. Just keep in mind, some may not apply to you, in which case there is an option to select NA, as in not applicable. Okay. And so with linking your bank account information, as I mentioned, you can either link it automatically using your bank account number, or you can do it manually. So whichever you feel most comfortable with, that's fine. Okay, just keep in mind, if you do link it manually, it's good to have a copy of a check in front of you so that you can take down the routing number and the bank account number information, because that's what they'll need. Okay. This is another sticking point is that they do require a business bank account. They will not accept a personal bank account. And I do know a number of sole proprietors and have used their personal banking account information or bank account for business purposes. But to be eligible for this grant, and they've been sticklers about it, they do require that you have a business bank account.
Jean, that begs the question.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm a sole proprietor and I don't have a business bank account, but I want to apply for this, can I open a business bank account and use that? Is
Yes.
there like a statute of limitations by when I needed to have a business bank account?
No, no. I would say go ahead and open up a business bank account
Okay,
so you can apply for this program.
thank you.
Okay. Okay. So after you have uploaded your documents, and even during the process of completing the application and uploading your documents, you can always check on the status of your application. So if you use the login information that was emailed to you and sign into the website, on the home page of the website, a box will appear and it will look like one of these, and it'll tell you the status of your application in red. So if it's incomplete, that means that you started that online application but haven't finished it. A waiting selection process is that they're reviewing the first stage of the application to see if you meet their eligibility requirements. Okay. In review, it means that you've met the minimum eligibility requirements, and they're trying to determine whether they're going to move forward with your application. You may be required to upload additional documents at this point. Okay. You could be put on a wait list, or the final, you could receive a notification of your final determination, which was perhaps that your application was not selected. That said, if you have any questions, if there's any confusion as to what documents are still required or what documents are acceptable, you can contact Linda Street directly. They do have a phone number on their website, and I believe I have it. Yeah, it's this number right here. Just call them, and they will connect you with a lending representative who can actually look at your file and clarify any questions that you have about what's required. And that's the end of my presentation. Were there any further questions?
I have one, and it looks like Chris has one. I'll ask first. So recently there's been word of a September 10th deadline. If we could discuss like what that really is. Some people are confused about it. I just want to make sure everybody understands what that is.
Sure. So if you had applied for the grant before August 25th and had not yet uploaded all your documents, they created a September 10th deadline for those businesses to get their documents in. Okay. That way they can move forward and process other applications. So if you have not yet applied, or if you've applied after August 25th, it does not apply to you. Right now, there is no deadline for applications received after August 25th.
Thank you, Jean. And Chris?
Yeah, this is my last question. Recently, with a lot of PP loans, definitely the second layer of forgiveness. The lenders have some of the lenders have changed, not using the portal. I guess the question is there any danger with the grant and the lender asking us to pay back the grants?
That's a separate PPP question.
No, I'm just saying this grant. I'm saying,
yeah,
I was using them as an example, sorry.
Yeah. So it's not a loan, it's a grant. So it does not have to be paid back.
Right, and there's no danger of them changing, the lender changing the rules down the line. And okay, you don't know. The things are.
But that said, you want to make sure that you are using the grant funds for business expenses.
All right, cool.
And that you can document that.
All right. Well, thank you, Jean. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce Francisco, who is going to discuss the Bronx Chamber and what services they're offering to assist businesses alongside BOC and the Throgs Neck Merchants Association. Francisco, take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, John, for the introduction. And like you said, with the Bronx Chamber of Commerce, and what we could do, this presentation is a little bit about how we can prepare you for this opportunity to get some funding for your business. The first thing that we like to do is finding out if you are eligible for this grant. So like to that PowerPoint that we just listened to, we can run down some of the specific criteria exactly that you may be questioning yourself, like, oh, is it my taxes old enough, and stuff like that. One of the big things that we've been doing to assist businesses is actually document uploading. As Jean said, all documents need to be in PDF form, and that's something that we've been able to help a lot of businesses with, as they don't have access to scanners or printers, etc. As well as giving advice and handholding with the referral process, we have the NYC Small Business Resource Network, which is one of the ways in which we've been able to assist businesses with this application. This NYC Small Business Resource Network is really there as well to help you with this ESD NYS grant. And we can also assist with other funding opportunities, marketing assistance, tech updates, etc. And please reach out to us. My colleague Anna as well is bilingual, so she speaks Spanish better than me. So if you need that extra hand holding, that's something else that we offer here at the Chamber, is the Spanish speaking opportunities as well. Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bronx Chamber. I love working with the Bronx Chamber and doing what we can for all the businesses in the Bronx. Cheryl?
I just want to thank everybody who attended. This meeting also is being recorded, and so I believe everyone will be getting a copy of this. Is that right, John, who attended?
Yes, everybody who attended will get a copy of the video, and everyone who registered will get a copy of the PowerPoint.
Great. And so the Throgs Neck Merchants Association is here for you as well. If you do need us, it's throgsneckmerchants.com. Please feel free to reach out. We can connect you both with the Bronx Chamber and with Business Outreach Center with John and Jean. They also have provided wonderful services for us in the past and our members, as well as our community. Given the pandemic, we're open to everybody. So we want to just thank you again and hope you are eligible for this and you get some money and we all get back and thriving as soon as possible. So stay healthy, everyone, and thanks again.
Thank you for the kind words, Cheryl. I would ask everyone to that's partnering here today, Francisco, Anna, and Jean, to put in their email addresses and organizations in the chat so that everybody could have access to it. Mr. Huang, I've already connected him with someone to talk to him about his EIDL, so that should be working on. Thank you, Francisco. Thank you, Anna. And thank you all.